There's a way you could get there without stairs, possible. But the question you got to ask, if you had 40 employees and you had to get there, would they have the same ability to figure out how to get there? And would they get hurt or injured? What would it cost you? What would it not? How simple is it to teach them just one step at a time and not even skip a step, right? And I know we all see that stair step program, but if you would take that literally the way you train, every step, because we're very impatient. But let me just say this, 6 months later, we have full buy-in every minute. And this is what's so crazy. I I got a $15 or probably $18 an hour guy that does every AccuTrade to perfection. And it only took me 2 days to train him to do it to perfection, but it took me 4 months to get buy-in from there because now it's a standard or expectation from leadership.
Gratitude, family. I just wanted to take a moment to give thanks. Wow, what a journey this has been. And before we get into this conversation, thank you for taking time out of your day, out of your busy schedule to listen in. And I want to encourage you to lean into this one because this gentleman here, I didn't give due diligence to Chris Alexander and his team about their accomplishments when we were talking on the show, right? And he didn't even ask me to do this. He didn't even know I'm doing this to add into the show, but let me just give you some context here about the gentleman who you're going to hear from today, Mr. Chris Alexander, and you got a sneak peek of it. But here's what his team, the leaders, the sales team, service, sales, everybody, the office team. Hello to y'all, right? 3,300 vehicles sold. So this is Hyundai of Columbia, right? 3,300 vehicles sold just at Hyundai of Columbia alone. We hadn't even got to Ford yet. 80% year over year increase. 80%. All right. First Tennessee dealer to retail a car entirely online. Amazon Autos. It's here. 2024, 824 5-star Google reviews. What? All right. Ford of Columbia, let's bring them up real quick. Largest year-over-year growth in the region. And I literally got to watch this store and barely almost have any inventory on the ground. And through the whole year, just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. Adam and team, what you all have done is unbelievable. But let's keep it going. First Tennessee dealer in the state to sell over 200 new Hyundais in 1 month. Not the whole year, 1 month. And this is one of my favorite parts, $75,000 in free oil changes to school teachers in the community. Let's get into this show. I hope you enjoy it again as much as I did. One side note that I want to apologize about. If you notice, I'm a little out of focus. This was our first time shooting this, driven by intelligence. And when we stopped kind of mid-show and we did multiple camera angles, so if you see me a little out of focus, that's okay because I really want us to focus on Chris. Family, thank you so much. Be well. All right, everyone, welcome to the first podcast show that we're doing called Driven by Intelligence. Don't quote me on that because the name could change, but the whole goal of this show across the automotive industry and beyond is to talk with amazing leaders that I've had the opportunity to either personally work with or that I've heard from that I feel really are driven by intelligence, but not AI, not artificial intelligence. We're talking about real intelligence. We're talking about human intelligence, employee intelligence, experience intelligence, emotional intelligence, any other thing that you can put before that I before we get into that AI. So I'm here with Chris Alexander, dealer partner, leader, fearless leader of Hyundai of Columbia, Ford of Columbia, and I'm going to let him give a little bit more on his background. But before we do, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to invest in yourself because I can assure you this is going to be a show that can transform your life like it's transformed my life by working alongside Chris Alexander and his team. I've seen it transform his leaders. I've got to work hand in hand with his leaders in this store, the culture, everything. And so if you're looking to take your store and you're looking to grow, listen to what this leader has to say in the, I would say, the backstory behind how he got to where he's at, and then some of the struggles and everything along the way. I'll let him tell the story. I'm not going to get in the way of that. So without further ado, Chris Alexander.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, man. This is I've watched your journey. So, man, when we first met and how we crossed roads, and obviously we made an impression on each other, and we were nothing at the time, right?
Yeah.
Based on automotive standards. And here we are, as you moved your business, and I kind of got to my position. Firstly, I just reached out to you and we connected again, and you helped us elevate this to a whole nother level with my team. So, man, it's amazing what you could do if you put your mind to it, right?
Amen. Amen.
So, yeah, so a little bit about my background. I started off in this business as just a lube tech.
Okay.
Did that for about 4 or 5 years, and did that for many years. As I was trying to find my way through college, I'm one of those students that 4-year plan turns to 6 or whatever it may be, right? I come from very humble background. Only person with a degree from my family. We grew up. We didn't have a lot for us financially materialistic way. So, work ethic was something that my parents always instilled, though. And kind of moved up to the tech role, was a tech, turning wrenches for several years. And got it, was in the automotive business. And long story short, moved up into service, writing dispatch, service manager. And that's kind of where it started for me in Wilmington, North Carolina. Bob King, shout out to him. Rest his soul, he's passed now, but Phil Hardy still runs that place and been there since I think it's 62, 64.
Yeah.
Amazing guy, Old Testament, love him to death, though. Was the realest guy you'd meet. And I thought every dealer was run that way because they really invested in employees. And come to find out, the business is a little bit different, right?
Just a little bit.
So, got to build a really good team in service there. Got service director, service, parts director, all the titles, but we found a lot of success in it. What I realized is an investment in people. People is I say your number 2 asset, and the number 1 is your time and their time as well. We forget that. And time is our greatest asset, but can be our greatest expense. And sometimes the expense comes to personnel because we don't understand the value of time. And that's kind of where I've been really focused in this stage of my life and in my career. So, and then met with Chad Jones. He come down, flew in, and said, "Hey, I need to meet this guy." We were hitting some big numbers with GMC Buick, and long story short, become fixed operation director, and seen some success. Some of it luck of positions and opportunity crossroads, but always looked at things differently, right? And people is everything when it comes to business, and we focus on customers, but customers are a byproduct of your people, and so. Long story, again, just break it down. And fortunately enough, I was fixed operation director for Barnes Crossing. Joe flew in and recruited me, made me an offer that was a little bit crazy. If I'm being completely honest, I was at a crossroads.
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting out of the business.
Yeah.
I was kind of like some of us in the business now. I just didn't feel like there's no transparency. There's no, we say one thing, but behind the scenes we did another. We sacrifice people all the time.
Yeah.
Money we have to make, but that was a driven factor of everything, of decisions we made, which I get that. I just felt like everyone portrayed to be a good person, but when it come down to being a good person, it really wasn't. It was driven based on what have you done for me now, right? And an amazing book that I read when I was at Jones that kind of changed my life is Understanding the Why by Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
I'd recommend everyone. Leaders Eat Last too. If you haven't read those 2 books, and you have to read it a couple times. It transforms the way you look at things and your perspective. The ideology of how ever he's found this narrative of how to do things, but there's so much I took from that. And here we are, 3 years with Barnes Crossing. A year and a half ago, Joe come to me out of desperation. COVID had made everyone look very successful, right? And then June of 2023, Hyundai and Ford of Columbia, which was doing really well, used car market, did sell a lot of new cars. I turned fixed, but we turned fixed around, and the GM just walked out. Great guy. I can understand the pressure. Big shout out to him. He just under a lot of pressure. I don't know if I wouldn't have done the same based on his situation. We took a store that had a bunch of water with inventory, 17 million B. And here we are a year and a half later, man, and I got the opportunity to be a GM and a partner of Ford and Hyundai Columbia and Columbia Collision, and we built a great team. I think Durant, we got 140 employees now.
That's wild.
And it's a moving machine, and our success has been financially too.
Yeah.
But that's not what we focus on. So that's a little bit of my background, how I got, where we're at.
Oh, that's good. And so it leads me to one thing that I want to talk about
and it's not in the order, but before I came in here, I was in a room to the side. So on the other side of where we're in Chris's office, by the way, to give some context. And I'm in the office next door while they have their managers meeting, their leadership meeting. And they asked me if I wanted to join. I said, I'm going to sit here, get set up for us to have this conversation. But you can feel Chris's voice through the wall, not in a bad way, but you can hear his passion, his energy, and just like you can hear it. And one of the people is like, I think it might have been a driver or somebody that we have out there, and he said, I don't know how he does it. Like, how can he give that much every single day? And and I told him, I said, that man over there, he's a machine, but I said it's his mindset that really does it. Yeah. And so I want you to kind of talk about that, about your mindset shift. And I'm even looking at a poster up there that says mindset is everything. But talk to us about the mindset of how to get your troops together, move forward every single day. Because, I'm talking to general managers and dealer partners all over this country. And I'm almost like a therapist to them. Like they're like, Duran, I can't make it, Duran. How do I get my people motivated? Duran, my leaders won't do videos. Duran, I can't do this. And I can honestly say here to everybody here on this show, that's listening, as much as I would like to get that call from Chris, I've not had that call from Chris Alexander. They said, Duran, my leaders are listening. And this isn't, because now I'm going to get some hate mail a little bit from some of the other GMs that have called. And I want those calls to keep coming, so it's okay. But what we can learn from here when he answers this about his mindset is how, as a leader, as an owner, dealer, operator, how do you have that mindset to keep moving forward in the bad months that you might have lost 5 figures, 6 figures, or even more, or even the good months, to me, which is harder, when you've made some money. How do you rally these troops to, number one, even come in here to hear the message, but two, to hear the message and feel it and want to use that? But talk to us a little bit about your mindset approach to growing and chasing this 800 and above number.
Yeah, so that's a good question. One thing we say is mindset is everything. We believe that, and we have several quotes that we kind of look at, but, I always say it can't be a TED Talk, and my guys hear me say this all the time. I said, that's just an emotional driver, right?
Yeah.
TED Talks to me, or emotional speeches with passion and belief, that's like turning your car on. Like, it's like the key that starts it. It fires very well, but what's going to drive that vehicle? That's where your mindset, because, emotions are dictated by environments or situations, right? Or transactions. Contact is everything we talk about as well to get your mindset. Everything that you do is a contact, right? And I like to simplify what we're trying to do. Basic business philosophy, supply and demand. You offer a product or you offer a service. Just very basic. It's not that complicated. And it goes back to what I believe everyone has to understand the why too. But I think where we missed it a little bit, and this is for myself, I'm speaking for myself, in order for me to get the most out of others, I have to be willing to do that times 2 for myself. Because I can't be a messenger of something without investing the time and being a walking product of that as well, right? So, and that's how you get validation and belief, and you have to find the right people. You have different levels of people, commitment, skill sets. And my biggest thing, I've kind of come to understand that my goal is not to make everyone alike or make them what I am. It's getting them to maximize their true potential of what their expectations are for themselves.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing, I always use this analogy when you talk about mindset, going back to that, and how do you get people buy-in? Just imagine if you're a performer of whatever sort. Let's just say you're a singer, or you're a speaker, and you got an audience of 1,000 people. If after the performance is over, the audience is not engaged, they're not clapping, is it easier to replace the audience, or is it easier to replace a performer? Now, the question is the performer, but the question with the performer is, you have to ask yourself is, I know I have the ability, I know what I'm doing, so maybe the message or the speech I've given or how I presented it. So what I go back to is, when you look at your team, You could go around and what most dealerships do, and we just replace people because they're not holding the expectation we want. But the question you have to ask, how are you presenting the message? Because that is really the key is how do you connect to each individual? And let me just say this, it's hard. The mindset thing is something I work on every day. But you have to be intentional and, discipline and consistency. If everyone had that, and if I could do that 100% of the time, we would have no hunger. Everybody be wealthy. Everybody be a fitness model. Everybody would have the perfect family, the biggest houses, because those two things, if you implement those in just portions of your life, could change your life around. And that comes back between the years. The greatest strength that you have is not your market, not your brand, not your dealer. It's what's between your ears. And that's what controls your day. That's what ends your day. That's what starts your day. And we were just talking about this morning about, I try to make the meetings more about who we are and how we represent, not just numbers. Numbers make up about 10 to 15% of our meeting, but getting people to commit and understand the passion and their value, because there's got to be a belief with that. And, mindset for me is, going into that a little bit more in depth is, you have to set certain standards in your life. And what it means is, like, even if there's not a return, it's got to be who you are. And I always I think I shared this with you, is we had the preacher and the actor, right? Because when you're talking mindset, it has to be a way of life.
Yeah.
You can't act it, because the difference between acting and belief or passion or a way of life is when you act out a part, that means you have to have a response to maintain it, right?
Yep.
When you believe, that means you do it when no one's watching.
Yep.
That's the difference, right? So, we give the little narrative that there's a actor, there's an auditorium full of people, and the presenter, which was a pastor, spent top dollar and brought in the best actor, performer, to give the speech of Psalms 23. And, Lord is my shepherd, and this guy he had the whole crowd there jumping up there, giving an ovation when he's done. He put on the best performance ever. Now the arrogance, the actor looked over at the pastor and said, "Hey, this is your church. Why don't you say it? You should know it." And, just with his head tilted, put his hand on his heart, his lips kind of trembling in a little bit. Actually, a tear kind of come out of his eyes. And as he spoke the words, it wasn't an act. The whole crowd got silent.
Yeah.
And by the end of the message, there's people who even got emotional. Nobody even said anything. The act got a standing ovation, but when someone truly believes and represents the words, it actually moves you into like your soul, your God. And the difference is with leadership, with mindset, is when you're passionate and believe in something, it takes away the stuff that we try to make logics work, what time I get off, how many hours I put in, how much money I'm making, right? And that's what you want to implement with your team. We want to train them on how to overcome objections and things like how to sell cars, but that is good. But we want them to train your top leaders to understand your investment in them, their investment to you is more than just drawing a check, more than just we want to believe in what we do so we can move the needle, because at the end of the day, we want to find fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
And fulfillment for us is given to others and building our environment better. So mindset's a tough thing, right? It says, I get up 4 every morning. Sundays, I might sleep until 5:30 or so. For me now, getting up at 4, it's not, when you first do it, it's like a negotiation, like, damn, do I really get up?
Yeah.
No, I don't. For me now, that's not even a consideration. I've trained myself on it, and I believe this is what you do with your mind. It's a matter of how's my day going to start? Like, what is, I read my devotional, I go to the gym. I just have a very structured day. And sometimes I'll change that structure based on what avenues or where I'm trying to transcend and move the needle, right?
Yeah.
And basic fundamentals of details of mindset commitment is the game changer. Just a commitment to 4 a.m., just a commitment of X, Y, Z. So, yeah, that's a lot. I'm kind of all over the place with that. But, for us, the question that you said with mindset, but how you get your team bought in, you got to be the pastor. Yeah. You can't be the actor. You got to understand the message of it. You believe in the person who actually wrote the message and what it represents, and you actually walk it. The actor only performs it. And when you're an actor, you only perform it. That means you only do it for what you get in return. So if you look at your employees and you only do things for what you get in return with them, that is the culture you're going to build, because then they're only going to do what they get in return from you. And then everything becomes a show, but it's not a true belief or a culture of what we do. And that's one thing that we're very proud of. You know, I think we kind of run a 6 months numbers. We have, between both dealerships, last 6 months, we ran over a 93% retention rate.
Wow.
We're talking about car detailer sales. If anything, we've added people and grow. And that's something that we're very proud of. And we brag on that a lot, not to be arrogant or boastful. It's just because it takes so much work, not from myself, but for my team's commitment of not just doing their job, which everyone does. It's committing to the little extra, taking ordinary things and making it just a little bit better, which is extraordinary, right?
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. We got to go deeper into that, because I didn't know about this 93% retention. But just to back up that mindset, it really is. You said something, and hopefully it comes back to me later. But I was listening to, and I think you know him too, Eric Thomas. But I was listening to ET, and they were talking about that, and you touched on something. It's just like something as simple as doing something consistently every rising, and what that does every AM, what it does for the whole rest of the day. Whether it's your 4 a.m., I know ET wakes up at 3 a.m., whether it's whatever those few things that you do, but he was saying that that's what kicks off that mindset to get you away from, and this is just a vulnerable spot that I'm talking to, is it's going 365, not 348. You know what I mean? Like, to make it a mindset every single day, even on Sundays, even Saturdays, it's just a mindset that you have to keep going, because it builds. It's part of who we are. It's part of our makeup. And if you get away from that and you try to do that 4 days a week to have my mindset, 3 days a week I'm gonna have my mindset, it doesn't work. You have to be this person all the time. And I think a lot of dealers, I'm saying that because somebody's feeling that the way that I felt it, is that it really only works when it's a daily part of your mission and your mindset thing. But if it's something that you pick and choose to do when your sales are down, or when you're feeling bad, or when you're feeling great, it doesn't work. So I thought that was great. But on to this 93% retention, we're talking about intelligence a little bit here, right? So talk to us about the intelligence behind the 93% retention. Is that an employee, or not employee, but the emotional intelligence? Or is it just simply other things that you're doing, whether it's one-on-ones, whether it's team meetings, whether it's the leadership meetings you have today? But I'm pretty sure the norm, and I'll have to look at this on NADA, but I'm pretty sure the norm on retention rate is not 93%. It used to be around, really for the variable side was like less than 50. Especially when you look over a long period.
Service writers, sales, detailers, techs even, right?
And they say, I listened to a study earlier this week that said it costs minimum of 24 grand an employee that you lose is what it's costing dealers. So when you think about 93% retention, but other side of profitability, your P&L, what that's done by retaining these people, talk to us about the intelligence behind that, because there's got to be leaders and dealers listening and watching this, that this is their number one problem, is retaining employees. We're not even talking about customer retention. We're talking about employee retention.
Well, there's no reason to talk about customer retention if you don't have employee retention, right?
Right.
I mean, how are you going to be consistent of a standard of customer service of any sort if you got a turnover at the front door of your own in-house, right? It's kind of like, so to put it in perspective, it's like raising kids, and you're more concerned about your kids being good kids, but you have a new dad or a new mom every other week, right? Tell me how that's going to work for the kid. And what does that look like, right? And so it's just basic fundamentals, you understand. But, you have to go back to what you have to, I believe you simplify everything. And because you get to know me, I'm not very intelligent. I try to do things the best I can, but one thing I understand, when I don't understand things, I just drop my overwhelmness, and I just basic break it down. How's it start? What is the ground level? And one thing that I studied a lot on, and before I got this role, one thing I hated is the turnover. And But it's like we talk out both sides of our mouth. We do it with customers, we do it with employees, right? So yeah, I think the first thing is, in my position, you have to know every one of your employees.
Yeah.
Like you got to, I mean, not the people who, make you the most. I'm talking about every employee. I got my auto butler or my ceramic coating guy who was just a detailer who's making more money he's ever made in his life because I don't cut corners on pay. And I think this is another thing. We think we try to see what we could get you for, save us most money because we confuse payroll with profitability sometimes, because payroll does affect profitability, but turnover affects profitability even at a worse level, because then you lose customer base that don't come back because you're not very consistent in what they see. There's a lot of things that go into it. We're trying to save 5% of payroll. That's why I kind of don't agree with NADA standards. Whatever. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I think you don't overpay, but you got to be the best. If you want the highest expectation, you got to take care of your people. Absolutely. And financially and then with your time. But, I had Pi call me. He texted me. He says, hey, my insurance is too high. Can't afford it through the company. I says, all good. Come here just the next morning. I told him to meet me in the office. And I've already had this thing done with State Farm and found it for a quarter of the way. Made time for him. It took us like 15 minutes, brought John in. But most people say, man, I'm the GM, man. You're just nah, he's not. This kid, every quarter, this is real talk, he'll send me a scripture and just tell me how much he loves me and appreciates me, because he knows, he's like, I know you got a lot on your plate, so just want to remind you that what you've done for everybody.
Yeah.
Just don't never forget that, because I know you're only going to see it from what you're doing now. This is a guy that, when I met him, was just a detailer. Yeah. He might look like a thug off the street or whatever. He does, man's heart of gold, and he's so loyal. But we have a ton of people like that. But it has to be real. Again, it can't be an act.
Yeah.
I think when you interact, and I still struggle with this, because business, when you get bigger, I have an open door policy. Some days I'm like, man,
I bet.
It's just, man, I can't tell him, yeah, you saw what I did. I mean, it's just kind of, hey, I need to speak to you about this. But that is a commitment that you have to be willing to do if you really want what you have with what you're saying, the culture, the retention, which in return allow you to be consistent on how you do business.
That's it.
Because we have to look at it from a bigger picture of business. If you constantly got only 3 salespeople and you carry a 20-man force, and 10 of them are constantly turning the door and 3 kind of rule the nest, and you don't assets and liability, well, he sells 50 cars a month, I promise you, there's nothing that'll bother me more than someone thinks they're better than someone based on a title or position or whatever it may be. I will get rid of all my top performers if they walk around thinking I don't believe in that, because I believe the process and how we do business and the culture we create. I could plug and play anyone, and we could talk about that more in the future, that we can run the play and still see major success.
Yeah.
All
right. So that was a great breakdown in terms of the intelligence, and I love that. So now let's move into culture, right?
Okay.
And specifically, culture of not only just winning, right, but a culture of video, excellence, experience, all these things. And I'll give everybody an example. This store sent over 25,000 videos. You and your team, really, they sent out way more. That's how many they recorded, I want to say. And that led to monumental increases from just a couple of key areas, not the whole store. Just from an e-commerce standpoint, when you look at engagement rates, sales, it was incredible. But before a dealer can ooh and ah over video sounds so great, they have to get the buy-in from everybody to do that, right? And you were able to do that. So talk to us about the culture. How did you create a culture of video and of winning and of experience the way that you did it? Like, kind of walk us through those stages.
Yeah. So I think for me, going back to simplifying what we do, so we have an idea, and it's like, hey, we want to do video. We can build a process and build the structure of it, buy the equipment, buy the tools, and then we try to roll out, implement it, right?
Right.
But the question is, you do all that, and then some people might use it, and then the people who do use it don't use it all the way. Because the question you have to ask yourself, why should they engage and do more work? Why should they buy into this, which is they're not a part of? And why should they do it if they don't really understand it, don't understand the why, and then how much they have to learn? And one thing we're very poor in this business is what number one thing we don't do is train it.
Yeah.
Where we think it's just bad people, right? So I've kind of told my team, I'm going to give you an example, and we can go into the video. AccuTrade is something we used when I first started. We'll just start with that.
Yeah.
Everybody believed it and wanted to do it. Now I'm talking from a leadership standpoint. We're not even talking sales standpoint.
Yeah.
So my goal was for us to use the AccuTrade 100%. Now, if you look at every car we do right now, they're 100%. Every car goes through service gets AccuTrade. Every customer car has to be AccuTrade. And the details of it, everything has to be literally, we even down to every car has a tire depth gauge on it. So when you look at the pictures of a trade-in, you'll even know without having to guess, oh, those tires look good. You're going to know they're good. That's how detailed we come. And you can ask any of my team, hey, we didn't do that. Oh, no, you don't, because that's not going to, no, you don't do that. You got to do AccuTrade. So how did we get there? Right. I remember when we first walked in, I said, hey, guys, this is what we're going to do. AccuTrade, I see a vision with this, and I think we all agreed. Everybody said, yeah. So all we're going to start is the only commitment I need right now from everyone in this room is just to plug in the scanner on every car. Day 2, only 2 scanners got done out of 20 cars. I said, all right, guys, we got to review it again. We got to plug in the scanners and look around and say, hey, and then I'm out there with them now.
Yep.
And we're doing it. It gets a little bit better. It took us probably two months, believe it or not, just to get the buy-in of just the scanner.
Wow.
Now, you also use results to show numbers because people don't like losing. And then after it was the scanner, then it was like, hey, we got to choose the colors. This is how we did it in steps. The scanner was a given now. Now I said, hey, we got to make sure we put in the right colors. I do it in baby steps. Like, if you're trying to get to the second floor, there's a way you could get there without stairs, possibly. But the question you got to ask, if you had 40 employees and you had to get there, would they have the same ability to figure out how to get there? And would they get hurt or injured? What would it cost you? What would it not? How simple is it to teach them just one step at a time and not even skip a step, right? And I know we all see that stair-step program, but if you would take that literally the way you train, every step, because we're very impatient, but let me just say this, 6 months later, we have full buy-in every minute. And this is what's so crazy. I got a $15 or probably $18 hour guy that does every AccuTrade to perfection. And it only took me 2 days to train him to do it to perfection, but it took me 4 months to get buy-in from there because now it's a standard or expectation from leadership. The buy-in is we have to be patient and understand what we're trying to achieve. It's each detail, because if you overload them with too much, they won't do it, right? And you have to be very consistent. And I'm going to tell you, you about pull your hair out. You're like, man, Dan, you only scan 4 vehicles, man. That's not going to be acceptable. Dan, tell us in this room what's going on. Oh, no, I ain't going to do it. Dan, let me go help you. But this is what you got to remember. You have to be a product of that as well.
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night, it's raining. It's the last customer today. They're probably not going to buy. This is where I go with that. So, I think they'll do it when we're busy, but 9 o'clock at night is pouring rain. John and I here are late. We have one more customer just going to get a price of the car. On the X-ray, it doesn't look like a deal. Mm-hmm. John said, hey, we'll just throw it in. I said, no, John. I said, I got you. I'm out there in the ring. We're running to play the process.
Yeah.
I said, we never deviate. John's like that. But when you're able to commit to the details of the process after we commit to it, they understand. Like, when you finally get to a point when you get everyone doing, you take these small steps, you got to be paid. And then before you know it, we build a product of AccuTrade say, hey, y'all are number 1 user in the country. How? Same thing, right? I said, man, you just don't even understand. But the 9 a.m. meetings are going to happen if I'm here. They're non-negotiable. Yeah. There's days I don't want to do them. There's days I don't feel like doing it. There's days I'm like, man, am I really wasting my time? But it goes back to my old theory. I can't change the audience. Maybe the messenger has to change his approach, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that's a constant, because I have to be the person that's willing to invest and do more and keep changing, looking at things differently, and find a way to get them to commit. But, you know, 9, I went out there, did a range, and all that does is set the tone, because when they see you do it in the worst situations when it's not needed, like we could have got away with it, it didn't really need to be done, but you cannot ever deviate from that. They feel obligated now.
Yeah.
They don't, it's not a matter of, oh, I don't feel like doing it. They're like, man, he's willing to do it, I got to do it. That goes to that culture thing. You have to leave an impression on your team that you got to do things. You can't get here at 9 o'clock and think you're going to come in and start barking orders. Are you the first one here? Are you willing to be the last one here? Are you willing to do the things that you're asking them, or do you let your title get in the way of that because you think you've earned the right? I've already put my time in. No, when you take this position, that means you got to invest and do more.
Yeah.
It's an obligation. So that goes back to the videos. We did it in steps. You know, I rally up the team. We make it very simple. All we want, the first one is just a simple video. It took us a few weeks. We didn't care about the quality of the video. I didn't even care about the content. I didn't even care about their emotion. Just do the video. They're going to give you a decent video. I said, that's all I recommend. I told Sam, who's over I don't want to call it that BDC team, because he's a leader for me, and he kind of controls the background of it. I said, it doesn't matter how it's done. We're just going to get 100% commitment of that, and that's how it starts. Now we're at a stage where we review how they're saying it with energy, and they're connecting with the words. And then it looks like an app, and I showed you that earlier. Like, it's like, now we're making it accommodate for the customer. When they get that video, they can just do their whole deal right there from their phone. And now, you know, it's not even a question if our sales is going to send a video when they get a lead. But you saw me. Actually, we were just here. Salesman comes in and says, hey, will you call this customer just a while ago, right?
Yep.
Because I said, yeah, he tried to call, couldn't get on her phone. I said, give me your phone. Let's do a code video. And I take lead and I send a video. But when we do a video, the engagement rate goes out the roof. And especially if you're in a position like we are.
Yeah.
Oh, man, people are like, wow, this person's willing. Hey, I just want to be part of your buying journey. I just want to tell you thank you for the opportunity. And just want you to know I'm real. I want to just help you. And it's just crazy what happens. And it's just small steps. But you got to be very patient. Even my team sometimes, and Sam, he's like, man, you know, it's a long journey. But the question I have is, if you don't, it's like Atomic Habits, right? How he believes, like, you do one thing small, he calculates to it. You know, Ray, I'll give you this real quick. Think about, would you be willing right now, I said, for 83 cents every hour, it's going to be debited out of your account? Would that really impact you? 83 cents,
not at all.
Now, if I told you in 25 years, just based on a basic mutual fund or whatever it could be, whatever your return is, it would make you $1.3 million. How would that sound?
Sign me out.
It would sign you up, right? What if I told you that at the end of the month, you had to give me $600? That's a little bit harder to swing, right? Mm-hmm. What if I told you that's only 83 cents per hour?
Wow.
What if I told you at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, when you pay your taxes, give me $7,000 some dollars? You say, "Whoa, I don't know about that," right? Because I might need that money. What if I told you that's only 83 cents?
Wow.
Hey, what if I told you in 10 years that might be XYZ? That's going to be a harder number to do. So put that in perspective when you roll out a program. Yeah. The longer you try to make it perfect what you're trying to do and then get people to commit, the most risk or the harder it is to commit, because now you're losing something that you can use now, right?
Yep.
But 83 cents is the step that I look at. Everybody's going to commit to that because they ain't really losing anything. Then before you know it, that 83 cents turns into $20 a day. Yeah. You don't see that. Then $20 a day turns into $600 a month. They don't even realize it. My goal is to get you to 1.3 million. Now, you like the idea of that, but you can't touch or see that because that's in the distance, right? That's an ROI that's far away. 83 cents is no risk.
Yeah.
I know it works. I believe in it. I just got to get something. I got to find something to make you just invest in it. And it can't be the end product. If the end product was so good, why isn't everyone very successful? Why isn't everybody in shape? Why doesn't everybody eat healthy? They know it's not good. It's just because it's hard at the moment to make those big changes. I just make it 83 cents at a time.
Just little wins each
Yeah,
time.
that's it. Right?
So then, okay, so let's take it a step further, because video and your leaders, we talked about Sam. Okay, we're doing this a little bit at a time, but then it doesn't just finish with video, because then you also have to get the team to put it through the CRM, also get them to call customers in the CRM, text, email, follow up,
Call it 3X.
status these customers. Yeah. So then how did you, because you might go back to James and Atomic Habits, because you got me in on that too about that habit stack.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. It's like you have this, then you add a little something, add a little something. So talk to us about, because dealers might say, okay, sounds great, 83 cents, get them on video, but how did you even get them to buy into the CRM? Because that's a whole nother discussion in itself. But how did you get them to buy into that as well as your leaders?
Well, we all talk about accountability, so you always have to ask yourself, like, if you're trying to implement or do something, we go back to this mindset.
Yeah.
It's not enough to speak about it, even do it. I believe you always have to times two whatever your expectations of getting someone to buy in, right? Minimum. That means you got to be willing to do it at minimum twice as hard, twice as much, at minimum for to even get traction. It's not enough that you carry a title and say, I know this work. That's why I got to where I'm at. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
So, let me just tell you one thing we do. Sam, this is where your commitment comes in, and I'm speaking highly on Sam right now. Every morning at 5:30. Now, we talk every so often. We build reports. We build a report for sales. We build our behind-the-scenes report for, reports mean something. He sends out a report for managers to look at how many leads we got from internet, the contact rate, the reservation rate, the shown reservation rate, and then it shows our close percentage for both stores. About 5:30, 5:45, like clockwork every morning. Never asked him to do that. I just told him I wanted this report. He took it upon himself to do this. And that information is very, very important to us understanding what we're doing, right? And understanding the breakdown of that. And then he sends out a breakdown of response times to the sales team. We limit, because we focus only on, when we first started around, I really want to be this, talk about the CRM. How do we get that? Do you know when we first roll out about response time on leads, we put it at 20 minutes? I had a couple sellers say, that's stupid. I mean, if they can't do 20 minutes, why even do it? I said, we're just getting a commitment. Before you know it, we had everyone 20. Because I told Sam, I said, it's going to be within 5 minutes. But we got to start at things, 83 cents, that's doable. That's a waste of time, is it? Because right now, our average time is probably less than, 2.5 minutes, I believe, give or take.
Out of a sales team.
And the
no
ones,
BDC.
No,
right?
we have no BDC.
No
This
AI.
is sales team. We have no BDC. And out of that 2.5 minutes, most of the response time issues is maybe they just didn't click it or they didn't do it right. They just messed up on there. I mean, I would say our 2 minute, we're probably under a minute on real response time. We built the program around our team, not our team around the program, because what we have to understand, it has to be usable and efficient for them. If they're in the mix of running from here and looking at a car while they have a customer in front of them and they get a lead, the question I'm going to ask is, how do they respond to that? Expecting to try to text on their phone while they're walking? No, they just click code video, blah, 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 da, 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 boom, done. And got engagement. Simple as that. It's just, you got to put them in winning situations, right? And so we tracked that. Then we started tracking response times. Now it's under 2. Then we started tracking closing rate and reservation, because now our focus was reservations. And we've 5x on reservations now, but that's manager engagement right now. And now we're looking at quality of content. But it goes back, I know everybody says, well, that sounds good. Trust me, it is that simple. Business is not that difficult. You can't expect something to be great if you're not willing to be great yourself. And greatness is not based on what you portray yourself. It's what you're willing to invest between the ears and be consistent and be disciplined to commit to a small thing as simple. Most people say, Chris, you're crazy. 20 minutes. Sam, hey, guys, I'll go talk to sales. Hey, you ain't under 20 minutes. Ain't under 20 minutes. Ain't under 20 minutes. We knew what our real goal was, but we're just setting these steps. And here we are, maybe, 6 months later? But how hard do we work to try to get that 2 minute with a BDC and can still never get it?
Gosh. I'm still writing down this quote you just said, and Sam, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong. He said, you can't expect to be great if you don't focus on being great yourself. That sums it up for a lot of the struggles that not just me as a coach, but I'm sure a lot of coaches and teams and leaders and GMs they have is you want your team to be so great, but yet you don't want to slow down to be great yourself. You want your team to do video. Yeah, you heard Chris say earlier, he did a video
All
right
day.
in here with a salesperson. We're in here talking, me, Sam, Chris, and a salesperson walks in, hey, this is really important. He's like, hey, bring it over here. Let's do a video right now. That's a 1%er. Most GMs listening to this and watching this have literally verbally sometimes cussed me out and be like, hey, you can get on video. "Ah, I ain't doing no video. That's for them. Is it really? Because if you want your team to be great, you have to be great.
Goes back, you got to believe
yourself.
it. You can act it, right? You got to be a product of it. You can't just implement it.
And so let's keep this going on implement, because now let's start. We talked about the past. A lot of this show has been about building up
Yeah.
to today. As we're sitting here, it is Valentine's Day.
No, yeah.
February the 14th.
We just
This
did a
man,
big Valentine's
yeah,
here.
he just got a bunch of flowers for the ladies here. Nice flowers, by the way. Not your, no offense to the ones at Kroger and Smith's and Walmart, but these are some nice roses that he got. So I love that. But today, let's talk about the future and the present and the future. We talked about the show before we started that I called it Driven by Intelligence, meaning not about AI, about us staying intelligent in the fundamentals and in humans, but also applying technology and future intelligence. Talk to us a little bit about how you see AI or any kind of technology playing into what you're doing today and what you plan to do in the future.
Yeah, so we're all driven on this AI. I think there's two ways to look at it. If you're looking at it from a perspective of a path of least resistance, because you just want a big result and have to do very little, it would always fail.
Right.
Programs, it don't matter what technology you buy, it's always going to fail. And that's what most of the time we look. You know, and you know, one thing that we're working on right now is we're trying to do a gratitude video from me to every person that buys a new car. Just simple, just, you know, hello, Sam Smith, Chris Alexander, GM dealer, partner owner here at Hyundai Columbia. Just want to thank you so much for buying the 2024 Palisade. I just can't say enough for you taking the time to choose us, and just want to say thank you. And I hope you have an amazing night. And that's it. And I want to do that, you know, 48, 72 hours. There's nothing attached to it. And if we had AI though, you know, because it does take a lot of times. If we sell 25 new cars between Ford and Hyundai that day, that's an hour and a half of my time. And I believe, you know, so why I think technology is so important, that I think we, you know, our greatest asset, but our greatest expense in a dealership is not marketing, it's not employees, it's time.
Yes.
I could break down some data with time. If I just made my employees 5%, you know, 5 minutes more efficient. When you look at dealership, that's NADA, you want to be, say if you're $15,000 of gross, what does 5 minutes divided by that? It can make you like $36,000 of net profit, whatever. But I think time is our greatest asset and expense, and we forget that because it goes two ways. How much time do we waste because we're not willing to invest in time?
Yep.
Even with all the great technology we have to be willing vessels to invest in the things, the small details that can save us time in the future. But the ROI is not now. But what if I could get AI to do those videos for me? Because I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real, because it truly means a lot to me for people to do business with us.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's something we don't do because, you know, we were talking about gratitude earlier. You know, that's just something we do only when we get something in return. But just imagine what AI could do for us time efficiency, like your reporting that you need, or response times of videos that maybe sales are doing, and you can build an avatar of them with their voice and Andy base it off how they present it. So when you see the real person, it is the real person. This is what they really would say, but you never miss a beat. Like your response times are a matter, we're not talking minutes, we're talking seconds with the same message, the same blah, blah, blah. Because engagement, it goes back to everything's about contact, right?
Yeah.
Everything's about contact, even with you and your kids, your friends, everything in life is about contact. Imagine if you could shave 1 minute and 20 seconds off of actual response time with the same quality of consistency of that. What would AI do for it? Oh, it changed the game, right? But it can't be, I don't believe it can be an avatar of some person that, because you have the team that doesn't want to do a video or doesn't want to do a video. This probably ain't the place for you then. Because we're taking this here. If you're not willing to sit on the front row and get caught out being uncomfortable, this is not the place for you. Because the only way you grow is get in places of uncomfortability, right?
Say that.
But I believe that's where technology could take us. And I know you and I have spoke some about that as well.
Yeah, no, and we talked a little bit about before we just got into that question before we started recording. We talked about this avatar and the AI videos, and so I'll share something that I said to Sam and Chris here was that we as great as what AI can be and what Chris just shared, like what you just shared about, imagine the time, the efficiency it's delivering this content. The the caveat, the thing that we always have to caution ourselves with this kind of technology is they call it that catfish, meaning you don't want to create the perception using AI with this delivering experience, and you have your owner or your people with this video, but then the customer comes in and they don't even know the person's name. The customer comes in and there wasn't even a reservation board or their name anywhere. The customer comes in and they say, hold on, wait, you were on our website. Who'd you talk to? Hold on, you said you talked to me? That wasn't me. That was the AI me. Boom. Credibility gone. Because the
100%.
customer feels bamboozled at that point. They're like,
100%.
wait a second. This whole time I was communicating, but I was communicating to the AI version of you. Yeah, I don't know anything about what you want. So it's exactly what you shared, Chris. AI was meant for efficiency and time to build
100%.
upon the experience that you plan to give. Because I'm with you. If a customer can get a great personalized name coming out your mouth video in 2 minutes versus waiting 30 minutes to get that, the 2 minutes is going to capture them. They're going to win. But if after that 2 minutes, the engagement comes in and it takes 2 hours to engage with a human response after that, when the customer asks a question, we got a bigger problem. So it's building on top of what you're saying, all these things that we talked about, the baby steps. And then I feel like that's when you can layer this level of technology that you just described onto it.
Let me ask you this, Durant. If we took an NFL football from the actual football and they brought it to us, it's a football, and they gave it to you and I, and we signed it, what's the value of it? Now, say they took that football and they took it to the Super Bowl, and this is what the Eagles and the Chiefs used in the game, and then Jalen Hurts signs it. What's the value of the football?
Invaluable.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
But the football's never changed. It's the same football.
Yeah.
Consider that product. Product's only good based on how you use it and what environment you put it in the right hands, right? That's how you just have to understand that. Like, and when you understand what we use doesn't change, it's how we use it and the environment is used as what changes. That's the value of it. AI is only as valuable as its success, but it won't be successful unless it's in the right hands. In you and I hands, football is nothing. It's just an NFL football. I mean, that's cool. You got an NFL football. If you put in Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes, shit. I mean, we won't be able to afford to buy the football, right?
That's right.
Football never changed. The environment and the hands it's getting used with is the key. That's with everything that we do. AccuTrade, videos, everybody has little ways of doing things a little bit different. You have to find what works for you. Fin Solutions, they'll try you negotiate prices, but it is only as good as you implement or the hands or the environment it's in.
Yeah.
I just took the football as a simple, analogy of what it does. The product doesn't change from dealership to dealership. Now, we're very good to be very logical when we're failing, but we're very emotional when we do things because we base emotions, not mindset. But when we fail, we're very logical mindset, making blame because we never feel like we're responsible. That football doesn't throw as well. The football ain't this and da da da. Well, that's it's not the thing because we want to be Jalen Hurts. We're just not willing to do the things that's necessary. And because we might not have the talent or situation, we'll blame it on the football.
That's strong because you got to think about it. Some of these tools and technology that are provided, imagine how some of the partners that have worked with you feel when you can take the ball here at this store and create your own plays and run your own playbook. But another store can get it and say, oh, that playbook doesn't work. We can't even use that here. It's not doing what it's supposed to here. And what I'm hearing you say is every store has that opportunity
100%.
to use that tool how you want to. And I think about even my own business. There's just certain tools that I use at a level that other entrepreneurs don't use. But then there's certain tools that they use that I'm like, oh, I'm good. I don't need that. Doesn't work for my business, but I'm glad that it's working for yours. And so I love that you shared that. So we're going to pivot just a little bit into something that's really important for me, just in terms of my internal beliefs, but I get to see it in action here. And actually here recently when I came to visit is our community involvement.
Yeah.
I feel like in the automotive industry, that's something that even when I played high school ball, one of my best friends, Casey Zangara, his dad owned a store. And I can remember looking up on the baseball field when we were playing football, and I would see that his store, his dad's name. And I don't know why, but I always felt some kind of way. Like, I love that. Like, everything that you saw on the baseball, I'm sure you've seen it, the scoreboard or whatever they call it. You see all these small businesses that were in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so I love the fact that last time I was here, they're like, yeah, you can't get with Chris right now. He's over at the schools talking to them and investing. So talk to us a little bit about community involvement, but not necessarily from a bragging standpoint. That's not what this point is. It's more of the why.
Yeah.
Like, what was the why behind the community involvement? And then the responsibility that we have as leaders in our industry and beyond.
Well, it goes back to, are you intentional about it? Is something you're passionate believe, or is it only an act? Are you doing it for marketing? Or are you trying to get something returned?
Yeah.
And I get torn with that sometimes, because we don't post about what we do on social media. We don't brand it. And a lot of people don't even know. I said word of mouth will tell because, we probably should more, but I want to be, because we want to get back and do the right thing. I think you carry a responsibility when you get in this position. It's not a continue how much I can get. You carry a responsibility to get back. And so a teacher played a big role in my life when I was in sixth grade. Mr. Strickland, he just took me under when I was a failing student, didn't know where I ate. I come from a very broken home, poor home. We were dirt poor and didn't have no direction. And he saw something in me, and he turned me from, I was in the special classes to I was an honor student, and I graduated, with honors and all that. And I owe it to him. So now we met with the superintendent of Murray County, and then we met with Jack, who's over all the schools. And there's about 1,000 teachers and employees. So initially we rolled out a plan that we're going to do a pickup delivery, no charge to them. Literally, we hit each school. We had the spreadsheet. We built it, made it again, it has to be very coordinated, detailed, because it gets very sloppy. I don't want to say we're doing it. I mean, again, these are one of those things I spent months in following up every day. And this is one of those things, just so everybody knows, like you say, well, you're doing all this stuff. No, you'll learn that you'll have to drop certain balls and things that you're focused on. You just have to juggle those until you can know they're going to run. Then you put those balls and pick another one up, because you can't do everything. And that's a big problem with me sometimes. So I have to learn, like, hey, I just got to drop this ball because I know I don't see the benefit, but I've got to make this work. And when, 21 days to create a habit, when this thing gets going and people know this is not something that's going to fall, we get it. So, good. But what we realized then is some teachers were signing up that they didn't want their cars driven. And I get it. And there was no ties, by the way. I mean, full oil change. Don't matter if you're driving a Maserati. We bring it here, we change the oil, give it a detail. So I bought a mobile truck through Ford. And now the only thing we use it for, I have a master tech, very good guy, very loyal to us. And we go to schools and we pick 7 teachers, janitors, cafeteria, office. It don't matter who you are, what your status is. You sign up on the sheet, and we do 7 a day, every day. We've done, I think last year we did over $75,000 of cost of oil changes last year.
What?
Yeah, that's cost. And I'm passionate about it. I don't, some say, well, this is where we get in automotive. Well, what if this car costs $100? We just do it. I mean, the likelihood, what if we just do it? How about the teacher uses it twice? We just do it. When we start trying to control and try to be, because we're concerned about the what ifs, like the 10% what ifs. Everyone's the 90, right? 10% is going to be what it is, but that won't dictate the 90 we're doing. Let's say they do it 3 times. But think about the $75,000 we gave to the other teachers.
Yeah.
Now we want to start regulating it. We want to say, oh, no, man, now we're losing the intentionality of what we've done before is giving back.
That's it.
Because we're more concerned about taken advantage of than giving back.
Yep.
Right? And then we do Bright April. I think we did over 90,000 snacks for students. We do that. And I'm committed to, and even Patrick, we personally, each individually give, I give it through the company, but I do 500 a month. He does as well personally, that just automatic drive. And then, I go and speak. We're giving a car to the seniors, senior of the year this year. And it allows me the opportunity to go around and visit each school a couple times a week. And I speak to the seniors, and I just kind of give them my testimony. I went to college, but I also, if you're not going to school, we offer apprentice programs, and we have training programs, sales, service, accounting, and things like that. So we're very involved with that. It's hard for me to say no. You have to pick and choose because everybody wants to hand out, and I get it. But you got to ask yourself: is it going to make a difference? Is it going to be impactful? Will it change? And if you can answer that right, just pray on it, make sure it's right, and kind of do it.
Well, yeah, because I think what I would say, the reason why this could be such a big opportunity, not just for the Columbia stores here, but for a lot of dealers, is part of this. What I've been hearing, and you could probably speak to a little bit more, but is the advisor, the tech issue that I've been hearing about in terms of not having enough staffing for service, because the kids coming out of high school, I think the last time I read the research was like the number one thing they wanted to do was like be an influencer, social media type stuff. And then number two was something else. But the automotive industry is not on the top of many people's list. Like when I was in high school, I wanted to sell cars because of my friend, and they exposed me to a business. But most people, when we're in high school, we're not thinking like, man, when I get out, dude, I'm going to go sell cars or I'm going to change oil. So I think the benefit there that I love is the fact that there's somebody that you'll be able to change their life just by showing up and be like, you know what, I never thought about that. I love cars. Because most people that end up selling cars or working on them, it's because we have a passion for cars. Like, I loved them from a very young age. And I think that's going to lay a great foundation for you and your stores, because you got to think somebody's going to see you. And then next year, 2 years, 3 years later, they're like, hey, man, you remember when you came to my school? You came to my school, you changed my life that day. Had no idea you were coming, and now I'm working here.
And we have some of that now. I mean, we have Houston who come in at 17 years old, changing oil. At 18, we put them as an advisor because we have a training program. And my average age in my Hyundai service drive is, I think, under 20 years old. They probably combined. They have a year and a half experience because we're very big. They go through about a month and a half of training. But they just learn the process detail. That's what I'm saying. You could put people in. Now, they'll learn the technical side and things like that. And I'm okay to fail at those things. But the customer service side, to understand how to present, to walk around, not to walk around and try to prevent us losing money, but to walk around giving the customer the expectation how we do business, to pick up delivery. Yeah, they run the highest. It hasn't been announced, but we're going to get dealer of the year, for what we've done. And they run consistently the highest CSI in our region. Month over month, and it's still, I want to be number one in the country. So that's what we're fighting for now. So literally, that's what we're fighting for. And it's just it's a winning thing. But yeah, it shows you, it's kind of like Chick-fil-A philosophy. Give kids opportunity, but you got to invest in them and show them. You have to build a program where it's kind of like bulletproof, right? But then you have to hold them accountable to stick to that process. And then they'll start learning their own way. And as they build experience and understand the business, oh man, you know what you could build.
This has been, I'd talk to you for hours. So we're kind of coming towards the close. Now there's a segment, we're going to follow the flow and see how this takes off, but we're going to call it the IG, and it's called the Intelligence Gauntlet, which means I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and then you got to answer them as briefly as possible to help our audience. You ready?
Yep.
All right,
I'll try it.
This has been so good. So number one, what do you recommend as a leadership book that every general manager should read?
We mentioned it earlier. The Why, Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek.
You said it's called, what is it called?
Understand the Why.
Understand the Why.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
And Leaders Eat Last.
Which one's better?
The Why is where I got my
Understand
initial,
the
right?
Why. Okay. Number two, video or text?
No question, video with text.
Wins more deals.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Video with text. Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
Okay. If you had to sell cars today, no title, no authority, what's your go-to move?
Far as engagement with the customer,
Yeah.
it's all going to be about the customer. I mean, my go-to move is if I'm getting a lead engagements in the video, be authentic and make it about the customer. Everything you do is about rapport.
I like it. Okay, what's one experience trend that every salesperson should do?
Uh, the initial presentation. What do you look? Every person should look in the mirror and rehearse what they're saying and how they look as authentic as it can be, and see if they like what they see. I did it many times. I still do it now.
I like it. Hyundai or Ford, who wins the EV game 5 years from now? If there even still is still one.
Possibly be Hyundai. They're investing more into it. Hyundai.
I agree with that. I better not get in trouble for saying that. All right. What's one thing the automotive industry needs to fix as soon as possible?
Training, investment in their team.
I like that. Okay.
And that's a very broad statement, but there's a lot more to it. But yes.
Okay, this is a good one. AI, CRM, or video in 2025, which has the biggest impact on the automotive industry? 2025.
I don't think you could take one without the other.
Yeah. So you can't pick one out of the three. They kind of
well. I think
really.
if I had to lose, yeah, they all kind of come together. I would say video, because AI is still gaining ground. Video connection is where it's at. That's the second thing I believe versus, look, live interaction or virtual where I can see you and we can speak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, to your answer, what we were talking about with Sam and Chris before we kind of got going. There's a gentleman by the name of Ariel who was here in the area today, and I was telling him what he said to me in the break room while I was waiting for Chris. He's seen me set up and getting the equipment and the microphones, and he said, "You know what's so cool that you do this video things with your dealers?" He said, "Videos have a long shelf life."
100%.
And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You think about it." He's like, "They have such a long shelf life because once you record these videos, it's there." He said, and he said, when you put it on social media, if you notice, it's always working. You know, people can go back years. They can go to your profile, look at your history and content. And so I agree with you on saying that, because it really does have a long shelf life. So give us one, one key takeaway or something that you want to leave us all with to inspire the leaders, because really most people watching this are going to be the leaders in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
So give them a closing message and some thoughts for them.
Yeah. So, this is not going to be, I think when you look at automotive, you got to look at it as a business, not an automotive business. Mm-hmm. And everything you do in life is a business. Being a dad, being a mom, being a church member, everything's a business. Because what is a business? You get something in return. When you pay for something, get something in return. And everything is that way. And I know it sounds very kind of cynical in a sense, but it really is. So when you understand that is, the investment of your team has to not be inside of four walls. It has to be a true investment in what they do outside of walls, because it goes back to that act versus belief. And we kind of believe in this thing. It's kind of a mission statement for us. I called it the 5 F-bombs, but now they call it Chris's 5 F-bombs: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fulfillment. And the first 4 has to be a small investment daily. And you got to encourage this daily to find fulfillment. And what is fulfillment? Is actually what you receive when you give back, right? And when, and it's got to be authentic. So, when you think about those, and everybody said, well, I'm not here to change your life, I'm just wanting to work a job, but that's the problem, because you think it's only a job.
Yeah.
You want to create a culture, you want to create a brand, you want to separate yourself from everyone else. And I'm not saying the way I do things is right, but I do know it works. I do know when people visit, they're like, man, the energy here, and you can't be an emotional energy culture place, because things happen wrong in dealerships all the time. It has to be a mindset of what it is. There's no department separation here. There ain't no, I do this, you do that. That's not my problem, that's yours. And when that happens, that gets addressed more than if we make a $5,000 mistake.
Yeah.
Because money can't be the number one factor of what we invest in. It has to be in our people and our team. And I say that to say this. The 5 F-bombs, we kind of simplify that too. And ran if you're like, man, what does that mean? Well, I have a jar on my thing, and it could be just, hey, I'm going to do away with drinking coffee in the morning from Dunkin' Donuts. I'm going to make my own coffee at home. I'm going to take that $20. Small investment. Maybe it's just you pray on your way to work, whatever your beliefs is. Maybe you want to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, which I'm very big about. Do a morning walk. Say, honey, why don't you walk with me? I want to invest some time with you.
That's right.
And then you hit your fitness, and then you hit your family at the same time. Maybe you make a commitment to Randy. Say, you know what? When I walk in the door today, moving forward, but this is what you got to remember. When you make that decision and you say, this is what I'm going to do, you can't deviate. You got to be true to it no matter what the situation is. You say, when I walk in the door, the first thing I'm doing is finding my wife. And I don't care what's going on, even before I put my keys down, whatever it is, and I'm just going to kiss her and just say, I love you. Maybe that's your commitment, and that's it. But think about what that could generate in time. Mm-hmm. That's one of the 5 F-bombs, right? And because this is what being broke is hard, but being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your heart.
Yeah.
Being divorced is hard. But coming home and kissing your wife on bad days and being consistent is hard. Choose your heart, right?
That's good.
Being reckless in life without having God in your life, whatever that belief is hard. Making God your sole purpose in life is hard. Choose your heart. Not going to the gym and being overweight and not being in good shape and having health problems is hard. Being disciplined and committed to a diet and maybe just a basic workout regimen is hard. Choose your heart. And that's what we believe.
That's it. Gratitude, man. You asked me earlier. I appreciate it. But Chris asked me earlier about gratitude, and that was it right there. This time spending with you, it's been great. 2024, it's been an honor to be alongside you, Sam, and all the leaders that you've had here. And I'm so excited to see what you all do in 2025 and beyond. Job well done, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, man. I
and your
appreciate you
energy.
having me, man. Thank you. It's awesome, man. This is not my comfort zone, but man, you got to be uncomfortable, right?
All right.
Hey, thank you.
Well, you guys enjoy this, share this out, and look for more to come in Driven by Intelligence.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you too, man. Thank you.
All right.
Gratitude. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. It's always great, and I thank you for it. So if you could do me a big favor, fam, if you want more videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment, share this out. And hey, if you want to see something different or if you have some feedback for me, send me a message. Love to hear back from you. But until then, thank you all. Keep winning. Be well.